Hello guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today I would like to share some of the most life transforming lessons I learned from reading Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Guys, there are a lot of motivational books out there, inspirational books of every kind, but I'm telling you, Stephen Covey's book stands head and shoulders above the crowd. And see, the book was published in 1989, has about 400 pages, but I'm telling you, even up to today, it's a book I've read and I still go back to check some things out because of how valuable the lessons are. The lessons will actually make your life more effective and more productive, especially in these modern times of complexity, change and competition. It will just give you a perspective. It's not like any other motivational book that you read and you're all fired up for like 2 months and then in 6 months everything dies down. This is a book that will really go down to change the paradigms from which you live your life. And in fact, there is a particular chapter on paradigm titled Paradigm Shift, and we'll get to that subsequent. For me, the introduction of the book really captured my attention, and there he was talking about values. And if I ask you, for example, what are your values, if you've never articulated those words before, like what your values actually are before, there's a high tendency that you're going to stutter through explaining what your values are. And he gave the ultimate value test, and we'll go through that in a moment. But values are the fundamental anchors from whence we live our lives, our fundamental principles, the blueprints by which we live our lives. And he gave the ultimate value test, and let's go through that now. So you can close your eyes, you can trust me and close your eyes, and just imagine this is what Stephen Covey said. Like, imagine there was a funeral, and there is a church setting, the casket's out there, relatives are crying, everybody's mourning, there is people wearing black, there's the undertakers, the cars, the rain, just the typical funeral setting that you'd have in your mind. And everybody's going out there to pay their last respect to the deceased, and you go out there alongside them to also pay your last respect. And as you look down into the casket, behold, it's you in the casket. And don't be scared. it's not a morbid book. There's nothing grotesque about here. But now imagine there were going to be 3 eulogies at that particular funeral. One is going to be given by your mom, another is going to be given by your best friend, and one by your co-worker. And the question to define your value is, what do you want to be the content of these eulogies? What would be the content of these eulogies if that situation was to happen today? And what would you want the content of the eulogies to be now that you know forehand how to get your value? When you define the content of what you want those eulogies to be, you can begin to extrapolate what you want your values to be. So if you want to be regarded as funny, as smart, as kind, whatever you want to be described as will be what you want the content of those eulogies to be. And that is when you derive your values from. Now, if you take this test, if you actually maybe this night and take a pen and a journal and write what your values should be, and you distill them into 5 core values, you would have a clearer perspective from when to live your life. When I did this, I wrote a lot in my journal, and it was really mind opening for me, and I think it's something you should test. So value setting was the first lesson I learned from Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Next was the concept of paradigm shifts. And Stephen Covey said we see the world from our perspective, and we see it from our own rose-colored glasses. So everybody has a lens, and that lens is formed by their experience, their environment, their own expectations from life, and it's different for everybody. 2 siblings can have different paradigms to life, even though they grew up in the same household and the same family and went to similar schools. They can still have different paradigms to life. And to practically push down this point, he gave some tests in the book to to tell you how different people interpret different things differently. As a practical test, let's do one here. So if you look at this piece of paper, you would see I've written a number, and just imagine you had this in front of you and a friend across a table. Now, if you are like most people watching this video, you can take a look at it again. So I'm going to ask you, what can you see? All right. So now, if you are like most people looking at this video, you're going to see the number 6. But If you had this piece of paper in a table in a discussion between you and your friend, while you clearly see the number 6, your friend will see from the opposite side of the desk and see clearly the number 9. And he used this to really push home the point of people having different paradigms. And the idea is, you can't be trapped by your old mindset. You have to be willing to be empathic, to be diplomatic enough, to be willing to see things from other people's perspective. And if you do this, you begin to understand people more. And then this famous quote from his book, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And caring for some people will just be understanding them, which is something people really value, just seeing things from their perspective. And it will help you have a smoother interaction with people throughout life. Closely related to the paradigm shift he talked about in the book was also the idea of the win-win situation. Most interactions in life involve people interacting to a particular goal, and some relationships have profit and loss intrinsic in their makeup. But Stephen Covey was the opinion that life does not have to be you lose and I win, or I lose and you win. He says there is a superior mindset, which is the win-win mentality. Best way to achieve the win-win mentality is through effective communication. He said in most interactions between people, they don't necessarily want the person to fail. They just want a particular outcome, and that outcome will be more favored if the other party fails. So they just look forward to the failure of the other party. But he said from effective communication, you can really know what you want and know that the other party does not necessarily have to lose for you to get your own end. And he illustrated it with various examples of professors in schools and students and board members in corporate organizations, and it really went home. So the idea is to have a win-win mentality, a situation where you get the most desired outcome that you want, as well as the person having the most desired outcome that the person wants. And he pushed this quote home by saying that the sky is big enough for all of us to fly, and we should not have the scarcity mentality. That the scarcity mentality will make everybody cranky and everybody cynical, and then we begin to live with the me, myself and I attitude, which leads to a lot of rancor and acrimony in relationships. The next lesson I learned from Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People was that of synergy. I think that was my favorite chapter, the chapter on synergy. This was already going into the middle of the book. He described synergy as the highest form of harmony, seamless cooperation between people. And I'm sure in your own experiences you would have seen or witnessed maybe athletes working in perfect harmony, basketballers giving passes, blind passes, and still delivering to their teammates. And you'd have seen people working with so much synergy and so much harmony, and for lack of better words, but with so much cooperation. In football, for example, most people will be familiar with the trio of Lionel Messi, Neymar Jr. and Luis Suarez, and these were 3 attackers who really did a lot of damage to other teams because they were working with so much harmony, not selfish, giving the passes when the time was right. And I have a picture of them on my wall just to remind myself of how much synergy could mean if people work hand in hand. I've seen this in an operating room where a surgeon and a scrub nurse was working wordlessly for 40 minutes. They were operating, doing a serious procedure, and they did not have to talk to be able to communicate. The surgeon would just stretch out his hands, and then the scrub nurse gives the right instrument, and this went on for like 40 minutes. The OR was so quiet, and I was so surprised that people could work with so much harmony and so much cooperation, which was beautiful to watch. And the advantage of synergy is, normally if people work together, you have at best an additive effect such that 1 + 1 = 2. But in perfect harmony, 1 + 1 can actually equal 5, because there was so much harmony and so much cooperation such that one member complements the weakness of the other, and then their strength harmonizes, and there is resonance in their strength. And it's a very beautiful concept, and it's something everybody should experience in their family, in their relationship. And we achieve synergy by effective communication and trust. Now, trust, Simon Sinek in his book Why Leaders Eat Last talked a lot about this, that trust is the bedrock on which relationship is built. And that's why after we make a deal, we agree on a particular situation, we shake each other. And shaking each other was an ancient tradition to show the other party that you have nothing in your hands except agreement to the discussions that you've had. So he said we achieve synergy by proper effective communication and then trust, as well as having the abundant mindset and having similar goals. And these goals should be very clearly defined for all the parties to know, so that they can go towards the goal from different approaches, and at the end of the day get to the same and a superior outcome than if individually they were working towards the same goal. Something very interesting also from 7 Habits of Highly Effective People was the concept of dividing the activities of our lives into quadrants. Stephen Covey said, and we all know that we're living in a time that is unprecedented. We're living in a time of accelerated change, tremendous competition, and overwhelming complexity. And he said your to-do list will probably have 10-15 activities per day, depending on the kind of business and the kind of lifestyle you have. But all these activities can begin to jumble, except when we begin to divide these activities into what he called quadrants. And the first quadrant is the most pressing quadrant. The first quadrant will contain, activities that are urgent and are important right now. So, for example, you're watching this video and then you have, a pot of food on the fire and is already getting burnt, and you can perceive that it's getting urgent and it's important that you go and remove that food from the fire immediately, no matter how captivating this video might be. And then you have a child who is in the nursery class and time is closing time. It's important and it's urgent that you go take that child from nursery class. The second quadrant will contain things that are not urgent but that are very important. So you need to have a growth plan in your life. You need to read a book. You should call your mom. Those are activities that will be in the not urgent but important quadrant of your life. He went further to divide the activities into those that are urgent but not important, and these are the activities we should delegate to others so that it doesn't clutter our time. And then he went further as well to say the activities that are not urgent and not important, and these are the ones we should eliminate from our list entirely, such that we have a seamless flow of activities according to hierarchy and priority. And then from this we can have a clean table to live our lives from. And when you make a list of these, the ones that are urgent and important, he said drop the book and go and do them immediately, such that you can start having some clarity. The last habit of highly effective people in Stephen Covey's book was that of a continuous growth mindset. And he said a tree is always growing or it's dying, that there is no middle ground, there is no fence to sit on. You are either growing or you are dying. And in this peculiar era, you need to have a system set aside to grow you, and this growth should be in specific spheres of life. Some of us might be familiar with Jim Rohn's quotes where he said you can't hire other people to do your push-ups for you. So growth is the personal push-up that you have to do for yourself, and it's not just having the intention for growth that matters. It's having a system in place that can actually help you to grow. This might mean reading a book or two a month, or attending seminars quarterly, or taking online courses and things like that. But whatever it is, you should have a system of growth, and this system of growth should cover some aspects, and these aspects are usually called the F's of life. So a system of growth for your faith, a system of growth for your family and friends, that's your relationships, a system of growth for your field, where you work and your career or your particular vocation, a system of growth for fun, that is your hobbies and your recreation, a system of growth for your finances, that's earning your living, a system of growth for your fitness and health. And being a doctor, I need to push that point home. He recommended 30 minutes exercise 3 days a week, where you actually go out and do some aerobic exercise 30 minutes 3 times in a week. And I should just push the point home to eat healthy, avoid junk food, reduce alcohol, reduce smoking. Depending on your age, try to see a doctor once a while to check out your health, so that you don't find out that you have a particular condition so late and when it's already so complicated. Then lastly, he said you should have a system of growth for your final contribution, and this is what you want the world to remember you when you are gone, what you want your legacy to be. So these are some of the lessons I learned from reading Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The book was really influential in my life and in my own personal growth, and I think it's something you should check out. For me, on the personal rating, it has a rating of 4.7 or 4.8 because it was really that good. So this is the first book review I've done on my YouTube channel. Please, if you enjoyed it, leave a comment in the comment section below, and if you have suggestions on books that we should review together, please leave them also in the comment section below. And if you have some of your favorite lessons you learned from Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, also leave it in the comment section below so that we can have some interaction and share more knowledge. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. Please, if you like this video and you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel and give us a thumbs up so that we can be encouraged to do better work. Thank you very much, and see you in the next video.